Hi everyone. Wednesday around again, and again another late video from me. The day kind of got away from me a little bit. Had all sorts of things happening, but I'm here to do the live. I know I said last week that I'd finish unpacking all the boxes, and part of the reason that I've just moved into another room is I haven't finished unpacking all the boxes. So, but maybe by next week I'll get that little task done. And also the cricket's on in my house. So I've come upstairs to hide from from the TV, and hopefully it's not too disturbing for you. So this week's Q&A, probably part of the other reason that I'm a little bit late coming on is that this question today really stumped me. So I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are, what your answer would be to this question. So someone messaged me earlier in the week and they said, what is your favourite quote? And for anyone who knows me will know that quotes are something that I throw out there all the time. So when I'm running a workshop, I'm constantly sharing quotes and mantras and things that I've heard, because I just find for me it helps me to understand and for things to resonate, and I make sense of things by looking at quotes. I like reading them. I like seeing them on social media posts. Usually include them, a lot of them, in my writing. So what is my favourite quote? I have to confess it stumped me. So I thought I'll go with one that I really liked recently. So that's probably cheating on the question a little bit, but it works well for me. And so I thought this morning when I got the question, I should really double check who it was that said it so that I could give them some credit. But of course, like many things, when you write who said this particular quote, you come up with a multitude of answers. You know, it's usually Benjamin Franklin and Anthony Robbins and a whole range of others. So I don't actually know. I can't give true credit to whoever it was that said it first. But the quote is essentially along the lines of, I can turn my mind to anything, but I can't turn my mind to everything. So I'll just say that again. I can turn my mind to anything, but I can't turn my mind to everything. And one of the things that I like about that quote is, for me, when I hear that, is it slows me in my tracks a little bit, because I can, and I know other people are the same, at times have quite a few balls up in the air, you know, doing quite a few things, running from one thing to the other and starting to feel quite inefficient. So it's a good quote for me to think about the fact that I really need to prioritize those things that are important to me, and to give myself permission to not try and get everything done, because I just think that when that happens, you just end up in a state of confusion. So some of you might have seen Eisenhower's Matrix, which let's see how well I can describe it. I normally do a better job of drawing it, but essentially it challenges you to think about anything that you're working on from the perspective of whether something is important or whether something is urgent. So if you can imagine a quadrant where it's got important across the top with yes or no, and then it's got urgent along the side with yes or no. So some things for us are important and urgent. So they might be highly significant things that we're working on. They have great importance to us. And so those are the things that we simply need to get done. There are also things that we do that are not important and not urgent. So perhaps, I don't know, playing Candy Crush on your phone, if anyone still plays Candy Crush. That used to be a little rabbit hole I used to sometimes get myself into, so I just took it off my phone. So sometimes those things that are not important and not urgent are the things that we can kind of maybe discard. And then we've got that middle ground that gets a little bit tricky sometimes, where we either get something that is important but it's not urgent. So those are ones we really need to watch, because they might be important to us, but they don't have the urgency, they don't have the deadline, they don't have the accountability right now. And those are the things that are really easy for us to put off. So I'm always mindful of those things for me, what some of those priorities are. When I was studying at uni, after I did my undergraduate degree, I did a PhD, and that was really important to me, but the time frame for that was not urgent because there was no time frame. They just, back in those days, you just submitted it when it was finished, and it was longer than a decade for me. So that was a good example. Don't do what I did. That's what I say to PhD students. Don't do it the way I did it. If it's important to you but not urgent, then you're going to need to find some ways to set some little goals and timeframes for it to help you get closer to that goal. So that's one thing to be mindful of, the things that are important but they're not urgent. And then there's those other things which would fall into the third quadrant, which is those things that are not important but they're urgent. Now, often we find the things that are not important but they're urgent are actually usually not important to us, and they're important to somebody else. So again, I don't know what for you those particular things might be. For me, sometimes it feels like some of the administrative tasks, some of the things that I find myself getting caught up in. So again, being mindful about those. Sometimes I might even need to use that little no word to get myself out of doing some of those things if it's simply not important and it's not a relevant thing for me to do. So that all comes from that quote. And I guess what I'd encourage you to do is, if you want to share your quote, and I'm happy to have a look at it with you. But I think one of the things that's really useful is when you see a quote and you do really like it, maybe ask yourself that curious question as to why does it appeal to you? What is it saying to you? What is it getting you to think about? So that quote for me that, you can turn your mind to anything, but you can't turn your mind to everything, is a good reminder for me about keeping things in perspective, working out what my goals are, and then maybe that challenge of, is it important? Is it urgent? And how do those things fit together? So would love to know what your favourite quote is. I'm sure I'm going to get off this call and go, oh, no, I should have done a different one. But that one for me really resonated when I was looking at that the other day. So would love to know what your quotes are too. And hope you have a great week. And we'll, share in the group if you've got a question. So for anyone who's watching the video from the YouTube channel, and if you're not a member yet of the Winning Strategies group, then you're very welcome to jump in with us and get some information and things through there. And hope everyone has a great week, and I will see you next week.